such a great sociological study. Jen and Brad met through their managers on a blind date. And they really like hit it off. And they got married. And they were like America's like sweetheart couple for years. 11/11, make a wish. Thanks, Running Fox.
It is 11/11. You're right. You've correctly identified the time. Does that mean you're in the same time zone as us? Probably. Oh, that's you. I'd hate to be somewhere where it's 2:11. That's the wrong time.
Yeah, it's the wrong time.
The correct time is 11:11. 2:11 people are like 3 hours in the wrong, you know? You're 3 hours wronger than the truth.
Yeah, so Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt are married. Seemingly happy.
Everything seems to be going fine.
He gets a role to play in this movie called Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith sounds innocent enough.
Nicole Kidman was supposed to play the part of the Mrs. Smith.
Anticipated that Brad was going to be co-starred with Nicole Kidman, and nobody's attracted to her. No problem there.
She dropped out, and Angelina stepped in.
Unfortunately, last minute, Pouty Lips comes in and takes over.
And did she take over?
Oh shit! Is that on right now? Is that
What's
not
on?
over? Is that?
Oh no! Is it Crossing Streams?
Oh, they're crossing the streams. It should be about to be over, even if it's not over yet. Oh no, it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I totally forgot about that video. Meow meow. Texans learned to meander, circa 1908. Anyhow, so okay, let's go back to where we're talking about. So let's recap, okay? Brad and Jen, they're perfectly happy together. They're living, they're married, they're loving, they're learning, they're laughing.
Yes.
And Brad takes on a perfectly safe role.
Yeah.
He's going to go co-star with Nicole Kidman, and nobody wants to get on her.
Right.
But the last minute, the coach, the director, subs in a new player. Who is it? The queen of pouty lips herself, Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, and boy, does she know how to work a gun. So,
she on the first day on set, from what I understand, she walked right up to Brad Pitt and she said, "You're so funny."
Probably. Yeah. And I don't think he is that funny. No. So, it was a real... yeah.
She was trying to seduce him.
She would bring her son, her child to set. Remember when she adopted that son?
Kid? She's a Madonna, huh?
Yeah, she
likes to collect brown children.
Yeah, she does.
Yes, I collect brown children.
Yeah, so... and at the time, Brad wanted children and Jennifer didn't. And Brad has a reputation for falling in love and dating women that he co-stars with.
All right, so Winston's mom. The thing is, what actually got me on this topic? Legends Fall. So I was rewatching bits of the live stream from last night, for flipping around through it. And I saw that Legends Fall had put in the chat, and I hadn't seen it last night, that Jen and Brad might be getting back together. And I said, "Hey, Rachel, have you heard that about this?" And she's like, "No, that's not true." So then I Googled it, and I was like, "No, look, you can see here it says there was some sexual energy between them, and blah, 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 blah." But then when we researched a little bit more, Rachel was right. She said she saw it, and there was no chemistry there.
I watched the whole thing. I watched the whole Fast Times at Ridgemont High thing, and I went through they had interim. What do you call that? Intermission. They had an intermission, and it was completely awkward. The scene between them. It was so awkward. The flirting that happened was within the script.
But here's the deal, guys. What I sort of intuited, I guess I had an aha moment, was that the only thing that's really getting in the way, preventing them from falling back in love and being a happy couple again, is they haven't gone through the necessary Hollywood tradition when two stars break up. They need to have a dance-off.
Yeah.
Now, the result of this dance-off, I think, is going to be as it goes here. If Jen wins the dance-off, they get back together.
Okay.
If Brad wins the dance-off, then there's really no hope for the relationship because their relationship was predicated all along on the premise that Jen was the better dancer.
Ooh, I think you're right about that.
Mm-hmm. Now, the other rule of celebrity dance-offs, relationship breakup dance-offs, is that the loser of the dance-off then has to go have a dance-off with Justin Timberlake. So it's like as soon as you lose your first dance-off, you're almost guaranteed to lose the second one because you know Justin Timberlake's a better dancer than you are, right? So it's like a Hollywood punishment for losing your dance-off. What song do they dance to? Excellent question, Winston's mom.
Whatever was Angelina and Brad danced to in Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Well, that's what Jen wanted it to be. But they had their agents negotiate the song, and obviously they wanted to they wanted to come up with as neutral a song as they could. So they went with WAP.
Oh, I didn't get the memo.
Yeah, they decided to go with WAP.
Makes sense.
Well, because it's also conducive to really dramatic dance moves. That what pussy. Like that, they really want to be able to show their emotions in their dance.
They both twerk?
They do both twerk. They're both famous twerkers. Brad's known as one of the best twerkers west of the Mississippi.
Wow.
Most of the good twerkers, though, of course, are on the East Coast. But I mean, he even got so bold as to once challenge Miley into a twerk off. And, of course, Miley kicked his ass.
Actually, I did see him in a photo with Britney Spears at the Nickelodeon Awards show. I would not be surprised if there was a challenge there.
Well, Britney's known to dance off against just about anybody she sees or in any circumstance. Like, if Britney goes to a restaurant and goes, "Excuse me, I didn't order this with bacon," and the waitress says, "I'm sorry, but you did say bacon." Dance off! Put on Toxic, somebody.
You're really close to the truth there. All her Instagrams are her dancing.
Imagine being a professional twerker, Bill Benton. I do not have to imagine it. I have lived the dream. I spent 6 years right after college twerking professionally. It's typology science. Oh, no. Do I look like I have a Bunsen burner? Everybody knows you have to have a Bunsen burner to be science. You need a Bunsen burner. Is NE a cognitive process? It's an attentional manner. What do I observe and measure? To be able to more accurately anticipate things, what's going on in the world, to avoid surprise, essentially.
Is there El Cafe?
Yes, but you gotta put it in a microwave, I think.
Okay.
Sure, I do have a beaker. A fancy smoky beaker in my hand.
You do.
That's a good point, Chris M.
Who do you think would win the dance? Wait, we already answered that, right?
No, I don't think we did say who we're gonna win between Brad and Jennifer. We said what would happen if one won versus the other. If Brad wins, they stay split up forever. If Jen wins, though, and I think she's the favorite because she's recently incorporated the sprinkler into her arsenal. You know, that move. She didn't have that in her arsenal previously. Eric, so you use the scientific method to get a grasp on something that's not scientifically measurable? I don't use the scientific method. Do you see me writing hypotheses, testing those hypotheses, recording data, any of that stuff? No. I am the intuitive. I've correctly intuited the way this whole thing works, more or less. And I find that all of my data, I have lots of data that I encounter, but note that I don't record it, and that's important. Okay, if it's science, I would be recording the data in an organized fashion of some sort. But I do have lots and lots of data, but I'm not recording it or making a formal use of the data. Nevertheless, I'm fortunate. I have the fun part of the job. I'm the one who correctly intuits and correctly justifies, but doesn't bother to actually empirically establish, because that part is not so fun. Any hoes in the chat? Any hoes in the chat? There's some hoes in this chat. I'm some toes in this chat. I'm right here, hometown rapper. Does it not say THOT on my forehead? I believe it does. So, excuse me, don't be paying attention to Julie over there. I'm right here, big boy. Eric, I find myself appending meta to phrases where it doesn't belong. Subconsciously, to make myself sound smarter to potatoes. Like when most people would say, "Quantum, how do you fix that?" Exactly what you're doing right now, you've probably already fixed it. You take the Catholic approach. Eric, I have a confession to make. I seem to habitually throw in the word meta to make myself sound smarter. That'll solve it right there. You've just solved the problem. You're already aware of the problem. You're thinking about it because you're effie, skittish. You're effie skittish. Well, hometown rapper, I would not say it's on purpose. Blame COVID, frankly. I use my normal way of being is I get a haircut about every month, and I tell them number 2.5 all around. And that means they take the and they go with the number 2.5 length one, and they cut all of my beard and hair and everything at that same length. And then it grows back kind of bushy, and then a month later I go get it done again. Mm-hmm. But with COVID, the last time I got a haircut, I gave it to myself, or Rachel gave it to me, or Combo gave it, And hometown rapper, are you an INTJ? Are you sure about that? What makes you think you're an INTJ? Well, what makes you think you're an INTJ? I mean, rapping is a very NE thing.
Screaming like this is more of an INTJ thing. Oh, I like murder. They're
going
fun.
Out in a year.
Well,
isn't that because of COVID mostly, though?
What?
Were you a huge homebody before COVID? INFJs are the best rappers. I think that INFJs and ENTPs are the best rappers.
Yeah.
I agree with you that I agree with you in principle. Like, for example, Kendrick Lamar is an INFJ. Dr. Dre is an INFJ.
I think ENTP is the best, and then INFJ, because ENTPs are more consistent.
They're both made better by working with each other.
Yes.
Dr. Dre and Eminem made each other better. Drake is terrible. I mean,
tell us how you really feel.
Well, look, here's the thing. I'm a rapper myself. And if I wanted to make a claim that was very modest so that nobody would accuse me of being too braggy, I'd say well, I'm a better rapper than Drake. And they go, yeah, well, okay, fine. I mean, sure.
See if I can attempt this.
That's a fair claim to make. You know, you're not being too self-aggrandizing to say that you're a better rapper than Drake. A rapper with a ghostwriter? What the fuck happened? You know? That's what I want to know.
I tell my peeps back in F square, bitch, where were you when I was walking?
Good question. Yeah, good question.
I really do.
True friends.
One question.
He mad.
But I ain't stressed. Two friends. One.
What was your question? An ENFP got you into rap? That's not a question. Let me see what your question was. Eric, want to know how I got into rap? Is that your question? Yes.
I want to know.
Yes, I want to know that more than anything in my life. Oh, how could I have confused yourself for an ENTP? Well, I mean, INTJs have first slot NI and fifth slot NE. ENTPs have first slot NE and fifth slot NI. INFJs, first slot NI, fifth slot NE. No, ENTPs and INTJs are not alike at all. However, if you were to calculate your type based on the fact that you could successfully use extroverted intuition to rap, that would not be a poor link to make. It would just be misleading because fifth slot extroverted intuition can be quite strong. I mean, I don't like to use the word strong or weak usually, but it can be very effective because you're using it on autopilot as the default off which to like pivot your dominant, you know? So for example, an extroverted intuitor has to know, especially like in rap. If I wanted to write a rap, the early raps were very NI without very much NE. My name's Joe, and I'm here to say I'm going to rap at you today. Meow, 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 meow. That was like the first rapping way back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Super NI. And then of course, pretty soon, if you're doing that, you're just copying those people.
Yeah.
So you have to vary it up. You got to mix it up. So NE starts coming up with new styles and ways of doing things to try to sound new and different. With rap especially, but music in general, they're having something new in the thing that is unfamiliar, but that fits beautifully with elements of it that are familiar is the key kind of engine in making it go, kablowy, that's fantastic, or just that's shitty.
Mm-hmm. What up, H? Hope you're doing well. Hope the whole chat is doing well. MAM, do girls find INFP male attractive or are they bad at impressing?
I think INFP males are likely to get friend zoned.
Yeah.
That's the truth of it.
I think tough girls, like, you're going to want to look for a woman who knows what she wants. And maybe, like, I think of Charlize Theron being good for an INFP because she's been typed as an ENTJ. And one of her flaws that she says is that on first dates, a lot of times she goes over to the guy's house and she doesn't like the way that it looks. She'll like clean it for them and organize it for them without them asking. So I think try to look for a woman like that because you might appreciate that.
Here's the weird thing. I think INFP males are basically kind of like too good for this world or something because they understand the value of a relationship in ways that go, okay, I'm not worried about how it looks to other people. I'm not worried about social expectations or whatever. If you're a woman and you and I get into a friendship and we value each other, that's valid. It's totally valid. It doesn't matter if I'm not getting in her pants. But then of course, the more time they spend with somebody, the more attached they get to them with the SI third.
Mm-hmm.
And additionally, so they feel a great deal of loyalty, but they don't necessarily get the loyalty back, I guess. And so
Right.
the thing is, INFPs are going to be very confused with how to deal with this reality. They like some girl, and they start talking to each other, and they start getting emotionally close in some way, but it doesn't go sexual, because the INFP in some regard has too much respect for the part of the relationship that already is the emotional connection, and doesn't want to push in ways that are going to threaten that. Of course, the opposite of that is like FI polar ESTP, who goes, well, what's there to threaten? It's like, is this chick gonna fuck me or not? If she's not gonna fuck me, then what's being threatened there? I mean, what use is she anyway?
Serious.
You do that, I will, hometown rapper. INTJs are another type that can be very creative, and if you just look at their work output, you can mistake them potentially for an ENTP or something. For example, at least one of the guys in Tim and Eric's great show, or excellent show, great job, or whatever it's called.
Yes.
Is INTJ, I think.
Which one?
The guy, I think the big guy with the beard. I think he's an INTJ. And so you'll see that it's working, like their humor works well for me though in general, but they only seem alike if you were to talk to that guy outside of his work, you would not think that they were similar. In my opinion, I don't know what he actually is like outside of work. I mean, this is just hypothesizing, basically.
What do you think Tim is?
I don't know.
He freaked out, man. He lost his fucking cool, man. He totally trained. Yeah, I saw. Someone was taking pictures. They had a live show, and someone was taking pictures, and he like flipped his lid, like I did, but in front of like a large crowd, and like he was like cursing. He was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like all of us in the crowd were looking at each other like, "Is this an act? Like, what is going on here?" You
were there?
Yeah.
You saw this?
Yes.
Were they filming the show?
No, it was a live show. They were a person went up there, a fan, and was taking a picture with a flip phone at the time, and like Tim was like, "What do you think you're doing?" He was like, "No photos, take this guy out of here." He was like cursing, and like me and my friend like looked at each other. We were like, "Is this real? Like, what's going on here?" And then they made an announcement over the loudspeaker, or like he did. He was like, "No phones! You want this act to go on? No phones!" I was like, "You're really bumming us out right now. Like, you guys are supposed to be funny."
I wish I had been there.
I do too. You would have been the best person to have there.
Whenever I hear a story like that,
no, it wasn't Eric.
But look,
Tim.
He might be an INTJ. I don't really know the show that well, and I remember thinking there's some INTJ in this mush here. When that same beard guy, he's in that show with the guy from the Daily Show who had sex with that girl and then she complained about it afterwards?
Oh yeah.
What's his name?
Yes, Aziz.
Aziz Lash or something like that.
Yes, he is. He is. It was Tim, the one who went off. Eric is the one who you think is an INTJ. I don't know what type.
Well, see, okay,
Tim
here's
is.
the thing. As far as Eric goes, he doesn't seem like an INTJ in that show, Master of None.
No, he doesn't.
He does. So it's quite possible he's not an INTJ. But the thing you described, that sounds like an INTJ.
So there you go. That's Tim.
That sounds like an INTJ or possibly an ENFP. I
was thinking ENFP.
I one time had an encounter on the street in Claremont. I was, going down the street, making little videos and stuff. There was a guy playing the banjo, and I stopped to film him. And he got very about it.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was.
You're sitting here in public playing the banjo, performing live.
Right, exactly.
And you're trying to say that I can't film you?
Yes.
He just, at that point, he stopped playing that. He shut down. He could hear the TI. He wasn't having anything to do with it.
Okay.
That's ENFP.
I think he is an ENFP. That's why only some of Tim and Eric are funny.
Then there might not be an INTJ in the mix then. Maybe that's where the TE vibe comes from, is from the ENFP. Some of the shit is funny,
It got very culty too, the show.
Did it?
Yeah, it was weird.
There's
the
FI
weirdest thing I've ever experienced.
Sandra Bullock. Okay, Grass Eater. Okay. Grass Eater. Somehow, in every live stream practice,
God!
You have to include Hollywood abusing children. Okay? Why is this? And in the current incarnation of this, I will agree, however, Grass Eater, this is my favorite one of those. I'm not complaining about this one. This is by far my favorite one of those.
Oh my God.
Sandra Bullock has a child's foreskin on her cheeks.
That's even better than Justin and Brittany dance off.
Well, okay, look, here's the deal. Whoever loses the Jen and Brad dance off will have to get infant foreskin cheek implants.
Okay. I think they both do already.
Rock on, hometown rapper. Rock on.
Rock on, indeed.
Hometown rapper, until they went out of business, you could have been the spokesperson for Hometown Buffet. But except then you would just have to commit to only rapping about Hometown Buffet. With perhaps an occasional mention of Applebee's. I don't think so, Nicholas Watson. I don't think.
I was thinking, my coughs are like, how Eric Andre has Hannibal Buress in the background and he's just like sitting there?
I'm not very familiar with Eric Andre.
I think he's an ENTJ.
You think Eric Andre's an ENTJ?
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say there's some TE there that I don't necessarily like. I was going to guess maybe he was an ENFP as well.
Oh, maybe.
Eric Andre is an ESFP, David Sanderson says? I don't think so.
No.
No way. He's an intuitive.
The reason why I think he's an ENTJ is he's so much like my ENTJ friend. Like the gags that he does.
What was that? Oh, no, yeah. What, did we ever manage to listen to that song, No More Words and No More Promises?
No.
Do you even know what song that is I'm talking about?
Is that an Eric Andre song?
No, I think it's by Berlin.
No.
No More Words. That is by Berlin.
INFP. Oh, no more words. Oh.
I gotta mute for a second because I want to listen to that. I don't want to get copyrighted. wasn't, I guess, on that album. So I had to mute it because I was playing No More Words by
Berlin.
That is a good political headline. Boomer listens to WAP while playing Among Us on stream. Well, it's a really good song.
Yeah, it is.
What's the purpose of Among Us? The purpose of Among Us is to either catch the imposter or to kill everybody. One of the two. I successfully killed everybody with
yeah, you did. You sabotage.
My second game, yeah. Well, you can kill them one at a time, or you can sabotage
the whole thing.
But you have to get to one specific room to sabotage
it.
There's only one room that you can. It'll let you sabotage. And then
that pretty quick.
And then the sabotage, it has to play out for a certain number of seconds before it killed everybody. And I guess they could probably turn it off if they get there before it goes off or something. I'm not sure. Possibly. I've only played the game twice. Eric, please give me some tips for an INFP to attract what to change in me to get your friends on. Well, all right. So, the answer is one you're not going to like, which is you have to take a fundamentally sort of like I'm here. Like I like to go fishing. I don't care if I catch a fish. Okay, I love to go fishing and just sit there and don't catch fish. I almost prefer it not to catch fish because I don't have to worry about whether I hurt the fish or not. But the fact is, what you need to do is realize that when you're talking to chicks, you got to switch that attitude off. You are not there to fish. You are there to catch a fish. Okay? And that's the big difference. If the chick realizes you're there to fish, you're perfectly happy. Fishing or catching makes no difference to you. Then you are not a eligible man for them. That's what it boils down to. They have to. The whole idea, the whole thing, the whole way that heterosexual relationships work is the man hungers for the woman, pursues her, and conveys to her that I am hungry for you. And women are mostly aroused by the man's specific hunger for them. Like, I gotta have you. And the more, like, I gotta have you specifically, not just a woman, but you specifically, that the man is feeling, the more into it the woman gets, usually. So the man is the lead dancer in this occasion, in this equation. It just is that way. It won't work any other way because that's what we're all conditioned to, maybe, or because of nature, or I don't know. So the thing about chicks is they've got to feel safe with you, but they've got to feel like, that they have to, okay, now come on, because, they want to feel like they've got to resist your appetites for them a little bit, because they're slower to want to indulge in those appetites, but you've got to convey that you have those appetites for them. That's what they need to experience. They need to experience a little bit of no, and then you go yes, and they go no a little bit, and you go yes, and they go okay, fine, yeah, I meant yes the first time, but yeah, okay. People think like, well, that's terrible, Eric. You're saying no means yes. It's heterosexuality. Chicks can't seem too easy and don't want to be too easy. They know that they're going to have sex with somebody, let's say, and they want the person they have sex with to do their job, and their job is to want them for it's like chicks don't want to be like, oh, I want you so much. Am I good enough for you?
Yeah, because then it feels like we're throwing ourselves at the man, and that's not fun. You know?
Yeah. And the thing is, INFP, love amazing facts. I was in the same situation that you were in for basically the same reason, which is I enjoy spending time with people. I enjoy having good times with people and good conversations with people. I don't enjoy awkwardness or putting people in uncomfortable situations. So if you're like that, you're going to default to an approach where you don't want to you don't want to be one of those douchebags, right? Like I do have female friends. And if I had this general rule, like, look, you can't be friends with the chicks, just forget about it, then I wouldn't have those good relationships. But it's also the case that Rachel's showing you a rectangle.
No, Running Fox is right. It is orgasm. I have the same one as you. We are soul people.
Oh, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the name of the blush orgasm. I highly recommend. And I have the lip gloss too, which I also recommend.
Grass Eater, I'm going to go ahead and say that's a totally acceptable use of Irma Gersh. I think it's absolutely appropriate, frankly.
Totally.
So if anybody's thinking Grass Eater's handing out undeserved Irma Gershes, that's not true. That was a well-deserved Irma Gersh. How do you say it? Irma Gersh.
Irma Gersh.
Irma Gersh.
Irma Gersh.
The thing that gets people friend zone is not acknowledging frame-wise the man-woman nature of the relationship. It's not acknowledging it. It's not determining it, you know? The woman, men like me and a lot of intuitives start relationship-y kind of things with this understanding that ideally we'd know clearly first that the woman wanted us, and then we'd safely go, well, yes, I do want you to, and blah, 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 or something. And we keep looking for cues from the woman that'll tell us how they feel about us. What I've determined eventually, after like 48 years or something, was that instead they know even less than you. So what you're not acknowledging when you think, well, she'll give me some cues to how she feels, is that you're putting on her that she knows how she feels and requiring none of that of you, of yourself, right? INFPs are a little different, I'm sure, because you're FI dumb. But the thing is, you set the frame. You go like, hey, what's going on? You know, okay, put it this way. Here's the best thing to do, INFP, and you're well positioned because of COVID to do this. It's easiest to manage when you are pursuing somebody via video conference. So, for example, meet a girl, talk to her on a video conference once, nice conversation. Talk to her twice, nice conversation.
We talked 3 times.
Right. At some point in the second conversation, there should be some.
Hello, beauty. I knew she was coming in.
By the end of the second conversation, there should be some saucy talk that's not necessarily explicit, but like some flirty chemistry and stuff going on. Third conversation. Near the end of the third conversation, that's when you say, okay, here's your choose moment, woman. Show me your boobs. And then she either does, in which case, then proceeds forward from there. Or she doesn't, but you're not letting her get away with indefinitely leaving things indeterminate because she's waiting for you to determine them.
That's right? How we got together, actually, like, no joke.
That's exactly what happened with me and Rachel.
Yeah, so, it is. It really is.
Just like that. So
I'm not joking.
I would recommend it as a strategy.
It is a good strategy.
And wait till the third time. Don't be ESTP about it and rush it.
Right away.
Don't rush it.
It scares people.
Let the girl feel safe. Let her go through her flirty part of the phase. Girls need the flirty part of the phase. You know, they can't just go from nothing to I'm naked. You know, it's like ridiculous. You gotta be smooth a little bit. But you can't wait longer than the third one. You have to do it on the third one. And as simple as this, make yourself say the words. So, what do you think about showing me your boobs? Or will you show me your boobs? I'm curious to see what they look like.
Or can I see your boobs?
Yeah, we're just like, out of a purely intellectual curiosity, I would like to see what your breasts look like because I'm actually thinking I might eventually do a dissertation on breast appearance. I'm not sure. It's just a notion I have at the moment. But would you mind participating by showing me your breasts so I can look at them with my eyes and imagine myself grasping them with my hands? And then once you start doing that, then pretty soon you're going to find a way to get together, whether you live 5 minutes away or 10 hours away. This line always works. No, keep in mind, it doesn't always work if your goal is to successfully get the chick. Sometimes she's going to probably say no. But it always works in the sense that there won't be another conversation. She won't waste any more of your time.
And that's a very good thing. You can move on quickly.
Yeah. I've got a big problem though right now. And it's a significant one. I've got two problems really. Can you guess what they are? I got one problem that's for sure and one problem that's emerging.
A poo?
The emerging one is a poo. I think I'm going to have to poo pretty soon. That's one of my problems. But what's the other problem?
You're out of cigarettes?
Correct. Gen X and Rachel both got it. I am out of cigarettes.
Can I can explain my FedEx sad waiting for shoes story.
Okay, well, I'll go get cigarettes.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay, cool.
I could look for some sympathy right now.
And right before I go, do I pronounce exit as exit? Sometimes. And I don't think I really make a distinction as to whether I'm doing it or not.
True.
Another question. Do you pronounce the word pillow as pillow?
Think
My friend Corey does.
Really?
Yes.
That is funny. Well, I guess.
Can you hand me that pillow? That's not a pillow, Corey. That's a pillow.
I see pillow.
Okay, I'm just joking. It's like it doesn't matter to me if he says pillow or pillow. I don't give a fuck.
It's cute.
Yeah, it's funny when you hear people have this certain like verbal habit of weird verbal habit.
Well, like you say, like with me and drawer.
Yeah, you're a drawer. Is
draw.
cuddling foreplay? Not necessarily, but it's a necessary part of physical closeness and overall emotional closeness, I think.
Yeah.
Rachel and I have a fair amount of occasions where there's physical closeness that don't result in sexual intercourse, probably because we're both kind of horny, but we're kind of sleepy. It's one of those kind of situations.
Yeah, it's I love our sexual intercourse. Raphael asks, how do you feel if Eric talks about how to get the women, Rachel? Well, I think he's right, because that's how he courted me, like legit. Like we had 3 conversations. First one, I did a reading for him and he just got to know me. Second one, we talked for 3 days straight. It wasn't even 3 phone calls. It was 3 days straight. We were talking for 3 days straight. And then on the third date, the third call, he asked if he could see my boobs. And I was like, tee hee hee. And I did. And he was really happy. And then I was like, then after that, actually things got more serious in conversation. He was like, so, like, would you like to come out here? And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, I've always wanted to go to California. But, I just never had the money to, or the opportunity. And I was like, if I'm coming over there, I don't want to just like come over, like get, have some sex and then like get shipped back on an airplane. Like no, like we're doing stuff and like it'll be like a date. So he was like, okay, come here for a week. If you buy your plane ticket, you could stay here for a week. And I just didn't go home. Eric doesn't check his emails often. He has been actually recently checking his emails. I go through them more, but I will let him know that you said so, David Anderson. He just went to go get some cigarettes and to take a poo. You're welcome. Yeah, I don't mind Eric talking about how we courting habits, because that's exactly how he got me. And then he said, do you want to see mine? And I said, yes. And then the next day I was on a flight out to California. So the asking of boobs to show boobs is actually a really good technique. It worked for me. And he also reassured me that it was not just for some pootie tang, that he wanted to get to know me, which also reassured me. So, and then I got to see his junk, and I was on the plane the next morning. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm glad he asked if I wanted to see his junk, because, like, I hadn't seen it. He had seen my boobs. Like, I was wondering, like, oh man, like, what if he has a small penis? Like, we had so much chemistry, and then it was great. It was wonderful, glorious, indeed. I have more NI than Jung. So considering my new status as ISFJ, I think Jung's an obvious ESTJ. Do you really, Skygear, Lord of the Christmas TE tool? Because I think of Jung as an INFJ, mostly because he uses archetypes a lot. He did a whole book on archetypes of the personality, and he compares it to the hero's journey. And that's a big NI way of thinking. Louis the 16th, boobs, tits, chi-chis, breast, jugs, bust, mammary glands, bosom, knockers, jiggle, bit tease, fun, bags, dirty pillows, indeed. Well, yeah, but Eric's an ISFP, so not sure about what you're trying to accomplish by that, Skygear, Lord of the Promiscuous Tease Tool says. He's not. I mean, it has been pretty interesting. He has been getting a lot of ISFP clientele lately. I've been there watching, like, while he's typing these people. Oh, you're joking? Sorry, I'm like being so serious right now. I have coffee fucking teeth, yo. That's how you know when you're drinking a lot of coffee, when coffee starts to stain your teeth. I gotta get real action on my teeth. Yes, crust white strips do fix the problem. The first time I ever heard about crust white strips was from my ESFP roommate, V. Wien. And she was a dancer for the 76ers basketball team. And so this was back in 2007. She and her ISTJ friend got into bleaching their teeth with crust white strips. And I was like, what? You don't just use toothpaste? But, she was out in the public eye a lot. So she had to be on top of her game. That's ESFP. Oh, so get this. So I ordered a pair of sandals from Steve Madden that were 30% off last week. And 2 days after I ordered them, they said that they had they were shipped and we were going to be delivered by the 7th. Well, now it's in pending mode and I'm not happy. Hey, Lauren McKinley, how you doing? How's the weather in Scotland? Look who's back. It's the host with the most. Host Eric.
Hi, guys. It's me. How long did it take me?
Not long at all.
I think it takes about 6 minutes, from what I can tell from timing it in the past. So I just want to, hi, MC McPhee, Lauren and Nicole, and Lauren McGinley. MC McPhee is the doppelganger of my daughter. She doesn't look exactly like her, but have you seen a video of her yet, MC McPhee? Let me link you to a video of her so you can see just how you are another example of Delilah style ESTP. I'm gonna link it for other people too.
I love Steve Madden's shoes. I'm just I'm not a huge fan of FedEx. I'm very stressed over these shoes. Are you sure
it's FedEx and it's not?
It could be Steve Madden. It could be that they thought they had them and they didn't, and now they're trying to work around it.
And that's what my ignoring an eye is saying.
Oh, it's so frustrating. They're so cute. I was so happy with them.
Cut that out. Cut it out.
It's gone. Don't worry.
But yeah, I really am. I just.
What's she saying? And we finished second. And 2 and 6th grader went 2 in 5th grades. You always been on the phone because you have the experience. I wish you had stuck with the debate.
I know.
Regardless, good day today. You can't see that. Yeah, I'm stoked. Fuck yeah, I'm stoked. What was I so stoked about? I won the debate tournament, obviously. My team must have kicked ass. It's 2016. Yes, my team kicked ass. Of course it did.
There's that's a good one.
Welcome to Talking with Famous People. I'm the host of Talking Famous People.
Oh, she's so cute.
This person, Delilah. And I'm going to interview her to see what her cognitive faculties are. So tell me, when you aren't talking or listening to someone, what are you thinking
about? That's kind of a vague question. What do I think about? Probably talking or listening to other people.
Oh, Delilah. It was obvious you had a little bit of a crush on Zachary there, I think.
Yeah.
I tried to get those two together. I tried to get Delilah to go out with Zachary. But unfortunately, they both got in relationships shortly before they met together in Utah, because they both were judging for me at the national debate tournament. I took my team up there. I drove a van, right? So I rented a van in Los Angeles, and I drove from Los Angeles to Utah with all my debaters in the van and a couple of my assistant coaches. Meanwhile, Zachary flew in from Kentucky to Utah, and we picked him up in Utah. And so then from that point, we had like 3 days where Delilah and Zachary and Abraham, and I actually had Abraham, Zachary, Delilah, Kunkel, and what's his name? The ENTP guy who ended up being useless like most ENTPs. What's his name? I can't remember his name. The guy, he called himself, sometimes he said like, I don't know, he was Felix. Felix is his name. That's his name. Anyway, I had all those guys, and they were all like 18 to 22-year-olds, you know. Maybe the oldest one was like 24, I don't know. But for them, it was like kind of a small group spring break, but they had to do their job all the time during the day, but then the rest of the time they were free. And I know that there was a moment, at least, when it almost happened, where Zachary and Delilah almost hooked up in the pool. I heard.
Ooh.
But I guess they both were too righteous. They both had, at that point, committed to a relationship partner shortly before going to Utah, and fucking up my plan entirely. So I just want to say, here, well, the Delilah style ESTP is, well, for example, she's kind of clumsy. She does kind of like bump into things occasionally, and or drop things. That's not associated typically with ESTPs, but Delilah is that. You know, she's a non-jock, yeah, but she's definitely an ESTP.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not any getting around it. She is not an ENTP, but she was raised by one, and so
she was raised by
me.
You, an ENTP.
Yeah, I think she's not an ENTP.
Oh,
I used to think she was an ENTP because I saw the similarities between us, which were bipolar, basically, and being an action type. And I just thought, I guess she's just kind of a weaker version of me, because like I kept trying to get her to like do improv music with me and stuff, and she just wasn't really that into it. And so I just thought, well, I guess she's just not she's a less intuitive version of me. Like she's just not as creatively talented as me or something. I kind of concluded that at some point with a little bit of disappointment. But in reality, she's not a weaker ENTP. She's an ESTP.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah. And so while I am more creative, she's way more successful. She's already has one of her TikToks have 1 million views.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah.
You know, creativity, schmeativity, right?
Yeah, really. She was talking today about something about how she wishes she had different colored eyes instead of brown. I'm like, girl, she is cool. Delilah's very cool.
You know what's great too in CMXB is that Delilah and Rachel get along really well.
Yeah,
Delilah loves Rachel.
I love Delilah too. I really do. I think she's great. I love hanging out with her.
Jake Paul's probably an ESFP, Ethan. Probably.
I'm glad that she does. It's like so cozy, you know?
Cloud, you are correct. In a framework that's entirely materialistic and atheistic, there cannot be an objective morality. In other words, there can't be a universal morality.
Your family is my cozy. My cozy.
Oh, like you're cozy.
Yeah.
I'm glad. The thing is, though,
Oh.
that's only true for positive moral indications, Cloud.
Oh.
On the negative moral indication ground, you can have an objective morality. Okay, so it's remember there are prohibitions as well as indications, but it's absolutely the case that in any frame of reference you can't have an objective positive moral indication. It actually doesn't really matter what frame of reference is.
In what way does perception differ from existence? One is internal and one is external, ask Curious Kyra.
Okay, so it's interesting that what's been coming up a lot is this existentiality thing. Perception, to perceive, is something that one can do. For example, Rachel and I can both look at an apple. She can perceive it as an indication of an apple shape or something.
Mm-hmm.
I can perceive it as the solution to my hunger, and we both will have experienced the same equivalent visual data, but we will have perceived it differently. Okay, so another example. The Friday Night at Freddy's song, Rachel and I both listened to it, and we started wondering what the lyrics were about. And like, what is this doing here? She perceived it as, I think, what it is, a horror story about a murderer. I, ignoring, perceived it as some sort of metaphor for divorce. So imposing my own experience onto it, right? It's kind of like a Rorschach test. It's not a metaphor for divorce. It's about a video game that's about this serial killer. So Rachel was much more right than I was. No, I don't think Trump is an ESP. I think he's an ESFP.
Yeah. I have a pop culture question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So Kim Kardashian openly stated that she did not vote for Kanye. What are your thoughts on that?
Who stated that?
Kim Kardashian. Oh. She didn't vote for her husband.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed with her. I wouldn't call that a bad wife. I don't think Rachel has any obligation to vote for me.
That's good.
She can vote for whoever she wants. I don't think she has any obligation at all to tell me whether she voted or who she voted for at all. Voting is a personal thing.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised she even made a comment at all.
But it is personal, which means you can talk about it as publicly as you want. It's up to you. The thing is, people think it's a good thing when people brag about voting, but it's a bad thing when they don't want to talk about it. Exactly opposite, not opposite, but the same exact rule applies to the first that does the same. The reason it's a good thing to be able to brag about voting is because it's a personal thing and you can treat it as you want.
Yeah.
It's a right, not a duty. So it wouldn't bother me at all if Rachel voted for somebody else. I have no expectation of my significant other to be correct about politics.
There was a telling picture that she posted on her Instagram where he did not look happy.
Well, of course he's not going to be happy, but he's fourth slot TI. I'm tool function TI. I would think I'm so proud of my wife for refusing to allow her duty to vote her conscience if she's going to vote as a citizen to be negatively impacted by her relationship with me. You know,
that's
it's
good.
That's how everybody should think about it.
Yeah,
I think. But of course, people who are who have more FI tend to ontologize their positions more. So my political position is who I am. It's not just what I'm advocating, right? People who have more FI in their mix, they don't treat words as words. They treat them as ways that they express themselves. Some arguments are inherently flawed, so it's silly to argue in favor of those flawed arguments. That's true. Some arguments are inherently flawed. The thing that I think was extremely telling and kind of gratifying and sort of suggestive of a route forward is what happened earlier, where David Sanderson said, Eric, you just claimed that you're basically never surprised by arguments anymore. by anything, argument-wise, because of whatever you said. But that's not true because blah, 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 blah. And then he made an argument that presumably he was thinking I was going to surprise me. But instead what I did was point out that this is why it doesn't surprise me. Okay, so that argument you just made there in debate is called a nib, and that's evidence for the verdict. And then I explained what all that means and why it doesn't stand as an argument, what's fallacious about it. This happened in China as well. I was hanging out with this principal at the school where I was hosting this tournament, and I said something about a debate topic, and he said, well, what I would do is, I'd say blah, 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 blah. Like, people think, well, debate's all well and good, but I'd blow it up with my creative argument. I'd say, okay, so if you make that argument, principle, then that would be called a miyake, and you'd have to include one that is shell that incorporated both a violation and alt, a violation and interpretation of violation and alt, and you have to establish that there's a voter, which is to say that not only is does your opponent fall victim to your critique, but that it's fitting to win the round and why. So you need to establish these prefer my framework arguments. And so, in other words, he thought he was going to show me the limitations of debate. There really aren't any. Debate incorporates everything. It's like there's nothing that's off limits argumentationally, really, in debate. This is a dance-off. But the dance-off part isn't on video. I've got Brad and Jen. They're out in the yard. They're dancing off. And we're waiting for them to finish.
Yeah.
And when they're done, we'll report on the results. They don't want me showing them dancing. I mean, Brad's fine with it, but Jen's a little bit embarrassed about how she dances. But, I got to say, she's got some moves.
I agree. I agree.
I didn't think I was going to see her do the worm.
Me neither.
But she's quite limber for older Gen Xer like myself,
Pilates.
Must be. Hi, Federico. Hello, how are you? If you allow me to comment, I think the only truth is reality.
How do
Yes, I allow you to comment. You may comment as much as you wish. What do you mean you think the only truth is reality?
I'm definitely contacting the shipper.
So, this is the sort of thing that that I've discussed many times in the past, Federico, but I will quickly go over it again. Truth normally is an attribute that we assign to statements. A statement can be true or false or have no truth value. If we say the only truth is reality, reality is not a statement, so you're not ascribing a truth value to reality. You're saying truth exists in some sort of mystical sense, and reality is equals truth. But the thing is, of course, Federico, if I were to lie to you, then deception would be part of reality as well, correct? And we can't think that deception is consistent with truth without destroying the meaning of the word truth entirely. Okay, so I want to say two things I've been waiting to say. First of all, I want to give you guys, everybody here, the classic ESTP statement and say, most of us need to incorporate a little bit of this attitude into our lives, not too much, but a little bit. What is the classic, the ultimate ESTP statement? Ass, gas, or grass, no one rides for free. That's the ultimate ESTP axiom. When we were talking with that INFP earlier, I don't know if they're still here or not, but when we were talking to him, he was explaining that he had trouble sort of closing the deal with chicks or whatever. The reason is he has none of that attitude. He thinks you can ride regardless of whether you provide ass, gas, or grass. Our world is the perception of what we have. Our conditions of recognition and production of senses is what make up the world. The more we know and open our minds, we will learn new things. Well, it is true that there is no reality about which we communicate that is not sourced by a perceiving agent. That is true. So, for example, these words you're saying here, they comprise agential behavior. You have or an agent who takes independent action to comment here. And I read your words and understand what you're trying to say is to more or less right extent, and then respond on point. The thing is this, your words there, they comprise an object that exists independently of you once you've put them on this external field. Then I can access them. So the trouble with words is when you put words out on the field, they're subject to scrutiny. And it's very difficult for words to sustain scrutiny. You have to be very careful on how you use them. The words you're saying here are conditions of recognition and production of senses is what makes up our world. Is okay, so literally that's false. For example, we know that the world comprises things that are not my senses. Now, I think what you're sort of intuiting but haven't put together in a very precise fashion yet is that reality is best modeled as a bunch of individuals, each independently rendering a massively multiplayer online role-playing game on their own box, right? Rather than the way we typically perceive it, which is that we're all running around in a single shared universe. It seems like that, but actually we're each rendering the universe independently on our own box, you know, with terms of massively multiplayer role-playing games. To understand reality, quote unquote, we probably are well suited to model our basic understanding of it like that, instead of like the way we perceive it to be. Rachel and I think we're sitting in the same room together. The room is constant and our perceptions exist within it. But if you're going to have a good kind of like model, it's probably better to think that we each are creating, you know, we each are that this reality that we're manifesting through our perceptions, which I kind of agree with you about, is rendered independently by each of us. And that the constancy of the physical world is in some sense then kind of illusory, but it's not a meaningful distinction to make, because for agency to exist, there have to be four fields. For an agent with communication abilities, complex communication abilities to exist, there have to be four fields. There has to be a place to put words outside that other people can pick up. There has to be a place to consider words where other people can't see. There has to be a place to do action where your words actually motivate people to change the physical world. And there has to be a place where you experience the physicality of life internally. So those four fields have to exist and are concurrent with an agency existing, a conscious, sentient agent. Perception is given by culture. I am from Argentina, and we surely are not amused by the same things. Okay, well, so what you're trying to mean by perception then is your subjective experience. Subjective experience is, in fact, subjective. You're right. That is to say, how you experience a given thing is not data that I can access unless you choose to communicate it to me. And even then, it's in varying degrees of accuracy in terms of its representation of your actual experience. So it is true that real-time experience is subjective and only communicable to a certain extent. How you perceive, quote unquote, a given thing is part of that general subjectivity. The thing is, your subjective experience can be rendered into word objects. And those word objects then comprise a statement. Now, that statement can be a statement that resonates with people who are using an objective calculus, or it can be a statement that resonates with people who are using a subjective calculus. So if I say, I feel sad, I'm still making a subjective statement in the sense that I'm appealing to subjective data. Whereas if I say, that peacock is standing on the edge of the deck, I'm making an objective statement because there actually is, of course you can't see it. There actually is a peacock standing on the edge of the deck. And I can prove it to you by referencing external data that's equally accessible to all parties. I mean, I could in theory. I'm not right now because the peacock is not in front of me, but Pete, come here for a second. Pete, here. I'm gonna give you some food in here this time. Come on, come over here. Come here. I tried to prove you exist. Damn.
Peter.
I guess the peacock doesn't exist after all. Why? Because I failed to prove his existence. That's why. Of course, the peacock does exist, though, and it is objectively so that the peacock's standing on the edge of the deck. So my words are what get a truth value or a value of true or false, and a lot of times people mistake that value of true or false for being equivalent to objective or subjective. So if a statement is true, well, that therefore is an objective statement. No, not all true statements are objective.
You can get them now.
Oh, let's see. I still can't see him. Let's see. Oh, there, you can barely catch it.
Butt.
You can get a little bit of his butt.
Opposite. Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Peter. Oh, Peter. Come here, Peter. Come here. Put some food right by the door here.
Peter. Here he comes.
You can see his shadow.
Yeah.
But you can't really see him. But you know what? You're just going to have to believe the shadow is sufficient proof, okay? You're just going to have to accept that I have proved the peacock's existence. So anyway, thanks for thinking that we're a great couple, Federico. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
No, I said to Federico. Federico said, I love them. They're a great couple. I said, thank you for thinking that we're a great couple.
Aw, thank you, Federico.
I think we're a great couple, too.
Me too.
So we're going to pause for a moment as YouTube takes a short commercial break during this live stream. Hi, I'm host Eric. You may know me from such YouTube channels as Talking with Famous People. Today, I want to recommend Marlboro Red brand cigarettes. If you haven't started smoking yet, isn't it about time? Marlboro Reds, the best cigarettes you can buy. Okay, we're back. So that was me subverting federal law regarding advertising regulations on tobacco products, because I believe tobacco companies should be able to advertise their products on TV just like anybody else. And they should be able to lie about it as much as they want. They should be able to say, cigarettes make you more healthy. You gotta do jazz fingers? You mean jazz hands? There's a little bugger right there. I really love that Liza Minnelli trying to turn off a lamp. It makes me laugh so much.
It's such a good skit. You're my bill.
David Sampson asks, so if eating lots of junk makes you fat, does eating very little make you skinny? Well, the answer would be not necessarily.
No.
That doesn't follow logically. I will also point out that the initial premise is false. I mean, not the premise. The antecedent of the conditional is false. It is not the case that eating lots of junk food makes you fat. I eat lots and lots of junk food. I rarely eat anything that wouldn't be called junk food. Like occasionally I'll have something like a salad or something, but even if it were true, even if the antecedent of the conditional was true, it would not follow that because eating lots of junk food makes you fat, that eating very little junk food makes you skinny. It would follow if it said if and only if eating lots of junk food makes you fat. If and only if you eat lots of junk food, then you become fat. Then one could conclude that not eating lots of junk food means you don't become fat, but you still can't conclude that you become skinny. And it doesn't say if and only if, it says if. Chris Chapman, I really appreciate the offer. Chris Chapman is so cool about that. I think he's an ISFJ because, he's always doing nice things like this. He's going to make a homemade pizza from scratch by taking a frozen pizza and putting it in the microwave. And he offered us a piece. If we
That
want one.
is ISFJ.
Very nice of you.
Thank you. Love a piece of pizza.
Contrapositive is inverse and converse at the same time. I've taken 1/10 of a symbolic logic course. I forgot what the antecedent was. The antecedent is the first half of the conditional. The consequent is the second half of the conditional. So if A, then B. A is the antecedent. B is the consequent. What does being an ENTP feel like? It feels like somebody just say you're so funny. Who was that?
It's a Delilah post.
Oh.
She's not her though.
I don't know what it feels like. As an ENTP, what is your visceral reaction to a gratuitous destruction of property? It doesn't impact me. It doesn't impact me. I wouldn't care at all. It's like objects don't matter very much to me. Katie trips out on that when she came out here to live with me and Kimberly around the same time that I was still moving out of my old house in Temple City. So she helped me move, and she noted how I didn't seem to care about my shit at all. Like, whatever. If it gets left here, it gets left here. But that's, well, but I don't really ever use it or anything. So who cares? Just throw it away. I don't even want it. I don't even want to deal with it. Just throw it away. That's very much like my approach to things. But we only used it once. Yeah, but it's taking up too much room. Just throw it away. That's very much like my approach to things. You can't just throw away the new washing machine. It's bigger than I wanted it to be. Just throw it away. It's in my way. I don't like it. Tomorrow you're still going to need a washing machine, Eric. We'll worry about that then. That's true. If, in fact, you say don't record, I don't record. And Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Frosted Flakes in the same bowl. Ashadeep, you are talking a lot of sense. I think you might be that's probably the smartest thing I've heard all day. Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Frosted Flakes combined in one bowl for a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Frosted Crunch Flake cereal. Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Bravo.
That is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
No, I've never tried it. I will. We got to go get some cereal now. You have impacted my purchasing. Rachel and I are at some point today, next time we go to the store, we are going to get Frosted Flakes and Cinnamon Toast Crunch and milk. We might also get a box of frosted mini wheats because that's my favorite cereal.
I love that.
But I would definitely try your thing. You know, I tell you something that's kind of equivalent to that. That's really good. Is there was this combination thing that I used to eat in Temple City where Candace would always buy these bags of fruit snacks. It's basically candy that's marketed to mothers so they can pretend they're not being. It's like it's marketed anti-polar. This candy is called fruit snacks. Oh, this is healthy for my child. I'm not going to get her these fruit flavored candies. I'm going to get her fruit snacks.
They're like gummies.
They're fruit flavored candies. They're gummies, but they're called snacks. Anyway, I like those fruit things.
I do too.
Those are good. And we also would have, what was it? I mean, there's a video where I articulate this recipe. I'm going to try to find it. The nice thing about doing YouTube so much is, you know, this is SI Assistant. Chocolate nutty coffee fruit bombs. Here it is. Look how young I look.
Good morning.
Aww.
I'm going to share a recipe
2015.
with everyone
Wow.
today. To make this, you need 1 pack of these Welch's fruit snacks,
I know
You need
exactly.
1 Reese's peanut butter cup. You need 1 Heath bar, and you need 1 cup of coffee. When you unwrap them all, it looks like this. How do I show this? You get, this is hard to show. You get this. You have these fruit snacks and a Reese's peanut butter cup and a Heath bar, like that, okay? And then you take it all like this. It's all in your hand. And then you go like this. Mmm.
I'm hungry now.
Mmm.
See, that is an ENTP invention.
That's an ENTP invention. Yeah. Chocolate nutty coffee fruit bombs.
Mmm. Try it. So good.
Sounds so good. It truly does.
And that's something that I really super appreciate about my life right now is that so many things when I go, you know what? Actually, I have a video on that. I'll just find the video. Lychees.org. This is a lychee factory. Lichess. Oh, it's a chess game. We're playing chess.
Yes.
All right, here we go. We're playing chess. You're gonna go there, huh? Well, I'm gonna go there. What do you think about that? That'll stop you.
After chess, can we play another Among Us? Or maybe later?
Yes, we can. That's a good idea. I like your idea.
Thanks.
It makes me feel very ideationally gratified by its idea. Hood. Oh. That's fine, darling. You're allowed to like it because you're responsible for it. It's a big responsibility.
It really is. Because I told them I was a part of the meeting process or the dating process. Like, I showed you, and then, like, 2 days later, You showed me yours.
And the reason it wasn't immediate is because this is not the first girl that I tried to go out with, right? And the first girl that I tried to, she showed me her boobs, and then I just sort of, as a matter of reciprocity, whipped out the junk, and she was offended by that. In fact, she suddenly blocked me on Facebook and a bunch of shit. But she had successfully shown me her boobs, so I thought, okay, well, fair's fair, right? But that's why I didn't naturally reciprocate with Rachel, because I just gotten burned on that.
You learned a lesson.
I learned a lesson. Bro, don't stop talking. It's an INFJ trap. Stop. I don't get it. I don't get that. It sounds like sexual harassment on both parts. No, we had talked for 3 times. I said, we had actually even agreed that she was going to fly out here and hang out.
I told them that.
For a week or so.
Yep, I told them that.
And so the thing is, I may have made a mistake in my timing, but okay, boobs and dick are not proportional in value. I was talking about a different girl. I don't know. I don't understand what you're saying.
I told them all before. It doesn't matter. I don't need to hear it again. I was just letting you know.
INFPs are not good for nothing. That's not true.
It's not true.
INFPs are the only people who are good all the time, despite the shittiness of the world.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I forgot I was playing chess. Sorry. Did you? Let's see, where did you go? Did you go yet?
You get points off.
It's my turn.
You wait too long?
Probably. I don't know if it's timed or not. Is it my turn? It is my turn. Okay. Where did you go? You went. Oh, you moved. You took my pawn. I see. Okay. Fine. I'll take your pawn. Now you're gonna steal my horse? No? Okay. Fine then. I'll steal your horse and you can take my horse with your pawn. Be that way. So David Sampson's pretty good at chess. I've yet to defeat him, but there's always the proverbial first time.
Yes.
Ah, shit. I messed up. Well, shit happens. I surrender. I fucked this up right from the get-go. Is that surrender? Is that what that flag is? Resign? Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention. You want me to keep playing? Okay. Well, if we're going to keep playing, can we start over? I concede this game. I fucked it up in a lot of different ways. If we're gonna play, oh, press it twice. I see. Okay, I thought you were declining. All right, let's do a rematch. I want to play one more game of chess, and then I'm gonna end this live stream, and we'll do something else or whatever. Oh, I'm white this turn. Cool. I get to go first. Cream. Well, quite a pretty conundrum you've got me in there, mister. Quite a pretty conundrum indeed. Okay, fine. Fine, be that way. Be that way. I'll move over here then, since you want to be such a dick about everything. Okay. You're in check, buddy. You're in check. I got him well in check. You don't need to worry about that.
Thanks, Barry. I was.
I assumed. Oh, fuck. Thank you. You're a gentleman, a scholar, and a reader of fine literature.
My favorite face that you made. Oh. Besides that one, Happy Earth is the best face.
Oh, David Sanderson. What are you, some sort of chess whiz or something? Oh, I see what the problem is. Hmm. Ah, fuck. I concede. You win. Yeah, you're good at chess, Dave Sanderson. I've never claimed to be particularly good at chess, but I know I'm not terrible at it. Like, I typically beat casual players who aren't very good, but I suspect I'd have a very hard time beating you. You seem to be thinking a little bit, you seem to be thinking about it at a deeper level than I'm thinking about it. I've always found chess alluring and something I thought, I wonder if I could sort of figure this out or something. But it's always proved beyond me a mystery that is beyond my capacity to unwrap entirely. Your rank's about 1,200 online, but I do better in tournaments. So do you play live where you go sit around actual chessboards or what? That's pretty cool. as far as like games that I'm good at, probably I'm not very good at any. I'm not particularly good at any of those kind of games. I'm not particularly good at checkers or chess or bridge or poker or I've never tried Go, but I'm not very good at Chinese checkers. I'm not very good at Connect Four. Am I good at Scrabble? Not especially. I mean, granted, I have a fairly large vocabulary, but Scrabble's not really a vocabulary game. It's more like a scoring strategy game.
I'm so glad I don't have to worry about playing that with you because I'm not good at that game. I don't like it. My family used to make me play it. That and Monopoly. I'm not. I like Twister. Twister's fun.
I mean, really, it's a game for groups of adolescents to give them an excuse to touch each other.
Mm-hmm.
But
I like Shoots and Ladders.
Shoots and Ladders is fun. Of course, Shoots and Ladders is an epic. It is sort of the archetypal game of, it is what game is all about, right? It's ups and downs. Yeah, you guys got to remember that Jeff Shaw was almost certainly drunk last night. I think he's got a bit of a drinking problem.
He's drunk too.
Yeah, he's probably going, what did I do last night? So I feel some compassion for him. Your friend's single mom? You trying to get on your friend's single mom? Well, maybe she's like Marissa Tomei in Spider-Man. Older, single woman, but still attractive.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They exist.
What did Jeff do last night? I don't remember if Jeff was here last night or not. I can never keep track of exactly which one it was or whatever. Well, you remember the famous saying, Grass Eater, Stacy's mom has got it going on. So don't necessarily think that just because a woman is somebody else's mom, that she's not still a sexual loving woman with a womb and boobs and everything.
Thanks, Bay. Woo!
Got an inside of the ear itch. You ever get one of those? I think you go right. Oh, right. That was about 30 hours ago. He was complaining about how typing on the phone is BS. And then he said, well, then come join us. And right. Gollum clinging to the ring as he's falling into molten lava.
Yeah.
It's a great term there. He couldn't let go of the ring even though he wanted to. I appreciate that analogy there, Zandy. I always say, don't cling to a rock because it drags you to the bottom of the ocean. That's a better example. Everybody knows that example.
Oh my gosh, that's what's gonna happen with my shoes. I just gotta let them go.
No, you don't. Don't stress so much about your shoes, baby. If you really end up having a big problem with this, I will call and deal with it, and then you'll get your shoes or whatever.
Thanks, babe.
Sure. Grass Eater, I don't know about Rain Fox. I'm not going to speak for Rain Fox, but I can say that I genuinely am both sympathetic and not that sympathetic. It's like, I don't find him pitiful. I wouldn't want to reduce him in that fashion. I find it sad because I've been there. I lived it myself. And that's one thing about being an SI person. Things that should resonate clearly with you. Sometimes never do until you have your own experience of it. You know, I used to be somebody who would be like, I don't know about these mental health diagnoses. I'm not really sure about this, but you know, bipolar. So somebody's in a good mood, somebody's in a bad mood. That's not a mental disease. I used to say shit like that sometimes. Once you have an experience with the reality of things, and you know that, okay, it is the case sometimes that people who are acting very badly are genuinely not responsible for their behavior because they're suffering from a genuine mental illness.
Thank you for sticking with me through that.
Of course, darling. So, you know, it changed my perspective because I had my own experience. I saw it firsthand that, you know, and everybody around here has been able to see it. And so Rachel's exposure, which probably hasn't been extremely comfortable for her, has really been genuinely helpful. No, I'm making a corollary here, Ethan. I'm not saying Jeff is mentally ill. I'm making a corollary that if somebody were to see Rachel when she was in her manic episode behaving badly, then they would conclude, like, this bitch is awful, you know? What I'm saying is, I try to remember that, you know, people behave badly sometimes, it's not a reason to condemn them as a whole person. A lot of times it's a specific problem. With Rachel, it was a problem that she literally could not reasonably be held accountable for. In other words, there was no behavioral disorder component to it. It was a brain function, like electrical impulses in her brain were going to the wrong place or something. I don't know what specifically.
Totally. That's what it feels like, you know, like when computers like short circuit, it feels like that in your brain. Like wiring is wrong, and it's like my electric current in my brain is going 100 times faster than the regular person.
Well, the other thing is, it's like, if you would have asked me before I met Rachel, would it be possible for somebody to, you know, just based on basic sort of natural mania, to stay up for night after night after night, and even though they get and smoke a shit ton of weed and even drink alcohol and take like antihistamines and stuff, and just be even more awake all the time, I would say that's just not possible. That's bullshit. That's the kind of thing that makes me doubt. It's like, oh, no, it's not bullshit. Rachel's manic state caused her to sleep way less than I would have dreamed would naturally occur, possibly without amphetamines. And it doesn't seem to get better. Like, in other words, the longer she's up, well, she starts getting more and more tired, so she starts going. It doesn't work like that. It's strange. So, like, I mean, I watched her sit and pull bowl after bowl after bowl of bowl of weed, and in her manic state, her only response to that was to complain that the weed wasn't working well. You know, it's like, okay, this isn't going to get her to go to sleep. That's for sure. Am I a cult leader? No. Am I some kind of cult leader? No. I'm no kind of cult leader. I think if we were going to describe what comprises being a cult leader, that would say you want to control the people who you encounter. In contrast, my message is no stems, no seeds, no stress. There's no obligations. Nobody should feel like they have to say hello or goodbye when they come and go in any of these contexts. I don't expect you to agree with me or believe me or anything like that. I do expect that if I do you the courtesy of listening to what you're saying and responding on point, that you try to do the same for me. But yeah, I'm the furthest thing in the world from a cult leader. You know, cult leaders, we can determine they're cult leaders because they try to exploit people. But not only am I non-exploitative, because of my cognitive function stack, my third slot FE, I tend to be overly hesitant about asking others to do things for me, even when it would be appropriate and reasonable social interaction and etc. What do? I'm a professional debate coach by trade, although of late I have been making a decent amount of money on doing typings for people. Do I exploit people by charging them for typing sessions? Not at all, because it's totally voluntary. In fact, I don't even if I was somewhat culty, I would be like, come on guys, those of you who haven't paid for a typing session yet, come on. Instead, I'm not like that at all. I don't even advertise my typing sessions at the end of my own videos. It's troublesome for me to get myself to prioritize personal interest. Professional debate coach is a weird job. I mean, it's a pretty cool job. There's no doubt about that. I love my job, and it's a fun, interesting work. I'm always learning new things. Like the current debate topic that I'm prepping out is the United States should have a federal jobs guarantee. Did I offer you a copy of my Bible and some juice? No, I offered you neither a Bible nor juice, Running Fox. And it should be noted that Running Fox paid me, even though I said, yeah, not pay me. I'll type you for free. You're Rachel's friend. I have no problem with typing you for free. Well, you don't have to do anything but argue, no physical labor. Do you have to do any rote tasks? Well, I mean, that's a nice thing is the topic's changing a lot. So like my current work is every time the topic changes, which is every 2 months, I got to prep out new shit. So currently I'm working on this, and I will show you what it looks like. I'll share you the documents. I'm making these things. I cutting cards and organizing cards, and then eventually compiling them into a real case for the framework that all links together. The ideal cases are what you call the three-legged stool style, but only some things grass eater. That's how you ruin the fun. Okay. You gotta let them assume that you're totally unaware of what's going on. Give them my number one rule is give people rope. People can have as much rope as they want. No matter how desperate they are, how desperately determined they are that when I give them this rope, they're going to use it to hang me. I end up walking away from their dangling corpse every time. You know? Yes. People think, I'm going to use this rope against you. Never works. Never works. Utter self. Eric, I still want to start my polyamorous cult for cool, hot people. Any advice on where to start? Also, do you and Rachel have any plans for the next 20 years? We are not joining your polyamorous cult. I can tell you that. I would suggest you start by abandoning your attraction to polyamory as a sustainable lifestyle. I don't really think it is, you know. Nobody's teaming up against you, Bill Benson. Your grass eater said he suspected that you are running a what is it called? Like when people like in like Ocean's 11 when they do a job, you're running a job, you know, like you're a con or something, that you're easing into revealing that you're actually a spite monkey hater. So I do have spite monkey haters around here. You may or may not actually be one. Probably, I have no idea whether you are or not. Grass eater was saying, you smell fishy. And And I was like, chill out. I know. We all know he smells fishy. Okay. We'll just give him a chance and see what he does.
Yeah. Can I give you a hug after I'm...
You can always give me a hug. Just my special darling. Right. And trolls that aren't spite monkeys are welcome here, frankly, as long as they don't look at that ass.
Thank you.
What did you make of the ISFP's any answers today? I mean, I think he was his self-concept was clearly prioritized his creative identity to some extent. And what I would say about it is his any answers were appropriately within the range of polar. It might not sound like it to somebody who's not swimming in the any environment and knows how it works and how it now sounds done meow or meow meow, but that was polar. It may have sounded a little bit better but it wasn't. I mean, I don't recall, actually, to be perfectly honest. I don't really remember what his answers were, so I have to listen to them again. But I felt very confident that he was an ISFP. So what do you think he was, though? Because he thought he was an INFP or a meow or meow or meow. He was NI, and he was FI, and he was F above T. So what else could he be? You know what I'm saying? Could go ESFP. I don't really remember his TI answers. Some people can only utilize any when they aren't under pressure, like when you were drawing and someone's watching, not going to happen, you can never be too sure. Well, that Tristan Ortiz links to type. So most people can only utilize any when they aren't under pressure. The exceptions are first and second slot NA, INFP, INTP, ENTP, ENFP. I actually perform better a lot of times when I'm both watched and unprepared. You were horrible what? If porn is bad and I like porn, does that make me bad? If porn is bad, then consuming porn would depend why porn is bad. If porn is bad because, say, it's exploitative of women, then you could say that consuming porn is bad in the same way that buying ivory is bad because it continues the trade in killing elephants, regardless of whether you're responsible for the elephant being killed or not. If porn is bad because it has a negative impact on the people who consume it, then it's not really a moral issue that you're going to be accountable for. In other words, you won't be bad for consuming it. You'll just be unwise. You'll be making a prescriptively poor choice rather than a normatively poor choice. Is porn bad for relationships? I think yes. Well, I mean, put it this way: every time I rub one out, whether it's to porn or not, that's it's like, okay, so now Rachel and I aren't going to have sex today. We might tomorrow, but we're not going to have it today because I'm already, you know, I've already gone P. I've already gone number 3P. So, in that regard, yeah, if you're in a relationship and you spend a lot of time watching porn and fapping, then it's bad for your relationship.
Yeah.
You should. It doesn't mean it's wrong to ever do that. You know, it's not always going to be the case that every single bit of semen my body produces ends up in or on Rachel. But
That's okay.
But that's okay. But if it were a regular habit and it were interfering with the frequency of our intimacy significantly, then it would be bad for the relationship.
It is bad for the relationship when it gets to that point. It is.
Right. So I'm not like Legends Fall. Legends Fall is an ESTP. He says, FAP doesn't stop me from wanting sex like an hour later. Well, you know, ask gas or grass, no one rides for free. But I'm not like an ESTP. That's not my approach. I prefer to wait a little longer and be more horny. So even if I'm horny tonight, I might want to you know, well, I might need to do some basic breast examinations and stuff to make sure that Rachel's okay with her breast health, which requires a lot. I'm basically like a live-in mammogram doctor. So I might do a little bit of that, but then just decide to go to sleep because I'll be even more horny in the morning, you know, and that'd be cool. I like it's best when you're super horny, you know, and of course there's the additional thing of I've got the very happy reality that my girlfriend's 14 years younger than me, and yet also not too young to incur me social consequences. Just perfect. And you know, Rachel may be 14 years younger than me, but her body's like 20 years younger than me, probably. So I mean, she's a young looking 35.
Thank you, babe.
She's tight, hurt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
The other thing about Inky Pinky is it's a good idea to ask people to come up with an Inky Pinky, not just answer them. That's a good way to somewhat check if in a long distance relationship, porn can be an essential tool. Granted, porn is so fake that it makes me lose my boner I once had. Any boner I once had. I don't know the people. I have to resort to imagination with my partner. Well, what type are you? I mean, the thing is, I don't find porn satisfying, but I do find it arousing.
Yeah.
However, I have a similar experience with strip clubs, though. I don't find strip clubs arousing at all. I find them quite disturbing. Like,
girl.
It's because well, you know, there's an episode of Simpsons where they go into a strip club and one of the characters says, "Smells like sweat and despair."
Oh my God, I remember that.
That's what I don't like about strip clubs is the stink of despair. You know,
Yeah.
And also the whole idea that there's a real person there, but there's this weird like rule that they're going to pretend to be interested in you and you can't touch them, and it just seems like a terrible idea to go get yourself even more wanting sex and not being able to have it with these people who are making you want to have sex with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like paying somebody to blue ball you. It's weird, right?
It is very weird.
I never thought about it in
And
those
you're
terms
paying
before,
a
but
lot too.
but isn't that a great way to put it? I never thought about that term before, or that way of putting it. But that's really what a strip club is: paying people to blue balls.
Yeah.
Unless they're prostitutes as well, I guess.
Whatever. What do they call it? The champagne room.
Oh, is that where you actually have sex with them or something?
Yeah, you can have but that's where the fee gets jacked up. But you don't say what. There's a song about it. No sex in the champagne room. But everyone knows, it definitely happens. But you know, it's not free.
It's not free. Yeah, well, that's true. If the thing is, if you want to have free sex, and have it be good, well, okay, you got three choices. You can have free sex by being an asshole and just slaying puss. You can have free sex by being a loving relationship partner, or you can have pay sex by just paying for it, and then you don't have to worry about the emotions at all, I guess. I can't imagine either one or two. I couldn't live like that. It's just not me. It would, it's,
I'm a lucky gal.
I'm fundamentally, like, I'm kind of hygiene minded in some sense too.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea
I am
of
too.
somebody else's bodily fluids. I generally think that is gross. So one great thing about Rachel is that there's this phenomenon where it's like when you want to have sexual intercourse, you have sexual intercourse, right? And when you're having sexual intercourse, it's like seems like really a good idea, all this gross shit, like, I'm gonna come all over her face and blah, 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 blah. But whenever, yes, I know we take showers and baths, but what I'm saying is that I've been with people in the past that I just kind of didn't like the way they smelled in general. Not that they were dirty, but they just smelled like a human being that had humanness, And what I'm saying is, when it's like I'm about to ejaculate, it seems like a really good idea to just pull out and come all over her face or come in her mouth or something like that, But I never actually do it because I know that as soon as I'm done, I'll be so grossed out by the whole thing that it'll make me want to gag. That's one reason. And the other thing is I just think, well, I wouldn't want someone to shoot cum all over my face.
Right?
That's what makes it seem so appealing at the time. It's like sex is kind of like the opportunity for two people who love each other to pretend to bully each other in some fashion. Maybe I'm just very strange about it. I'm not sure. I've also described heterosexual sex as the engine of it as being the defiling of innocence. So does that make me a weirdo? I don't know. That's basically the thing, though. It's like that's why in pornography, popular ones are like naughty teens or dirty debutantes or bring 'em young. Whereas much less popular is grandmas who know how to get down.
Yeah, it's very, very much less.
Eric, that makes me a 50-year-old TI heavy Christian. Okay, fair enough. All right, so I get it, and some people get off on defiling a little bit. But the thing is this: if you are in a loving relationship, it's a safe kind of defilement theater that's not actually degrading anybody, even if it's pantomiming that sort of thing, right?
Yeah. How many times have I said afterwards that we had fun? Like, I had fun.
Yeah, well, we always have fun. But the thing is, I'm quite confident that nobody feels at the end of it that they were actually devalued at any point. It's the safety of being able to engage in that theater, knowing that you can still trust the person entirely, that they're on the same page. Is the marriage bed defiled if people have sex in it before marriage? Okay, well, look, if married people have sex in your bed before you're married, and then you have sex in your bed after you're married, then you're fine. That would not be defiling. However, if you have sex with a goat and then a donkey and then your partner and then get into bed, regardless of whether you have the sex in the bed, that's defiling the bed. That's how I ruined my first marriage's bed. I like everyone, I was out having sex with goats and donkeys, and then I came home, and I ruined the bed. Oh, that's right. I forgot. I wasn't supposed to mention that. Somebody else told me that too. That doesn't play well. But who can resist a hot young goat? It's like I'm getting a boner right now just even imitating it. And donkeys? Talk about sexy with those long pointy ears. Do you have any siblings? Do you really want some slap training? Are ISTPs charismatic? That is Rachel making a pot of coffee. She was pouring water into a coffee pot from the sink. She's now pouring the water into the coffee maker, at which point she put the pot below and I guess refill the coffee part with more coffee. Yes, I have a half sister. God says to flee fornication. Flee fornication? When are you supposed to flee during this process? Is it before you start fornicating or after you start fornicating? If you flee after you start fornicating, don't you run the risk of having her still stuck onto your penis and running along with her? And you're trying to flee your fornication, but you're just you're just making it worse. You're just making it worse. You talk to Matt, what did you say to him? You could say, before you invest any more of your identity and attention into this notion that you've got this grand theory of everything, you probably ought to anticipate what the scrutiny it's going to be subject to looks like, and possibly watch Eric's video, because he might be right. You might be actually kind of fooling yourself here, thinking you're making brilliant music when you actually are tone deaf. It's like tone deaf people have the hardest time understanding that they're pitchy because they're tone deaf. Oh, what do you mean I'm out of tune? What is that? So, it's important if you see somebody who's tone deaf and spending hours and hours and hours practicing being a singer, that you let them know, look, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you can't be a singer. You're tone deaf. It's not gonna work. It's like a legless man trying to be a cross-country skier. No matter how much you want it, no matter how certain you are it's your destiny, you're not suited to it. What type is most likely to repeatedly retract their messages? Ethan McDonald. I would say he retracts a lot of his messages. Who else retracts a lot of messages? Like Zandy only retracts a message if she's got a typo in it or something, and then she'll put it out again with it corrected. There's an ENTP or INTP who slayed puss for a decade around America, Europe, and South America. He's now Orthodox Christian and against premarital sex. A few years younger than you. He didn't seem to care about hygiene. I mean, I'm not saying that caring about hygiene is a type thing. I'm saying I care about hygiene. There was this joke or there's a bit of dialogue in the movie Bridesmaids where the lady's like complaining that her husband won't ever have sex with her until after they both bathed. And it's sort of presented as like, okay, this guy's a stick in the mud. He's not really into sex very much. He's kind of whatever. And there's some other things that were linked to like, he's not into sex. Maybe he was gay or something. I don't know. The lady, the red-haired lady, remember? So the point is, when she said, well, he never lets me have sex unless we both bathed first. Well, that's a good rule. I don't need it with Rachel because Rachel is strangely like she's kind of Teflon-y. She seems to stay clean everywhere except for her hands, which get sticky.
Yeah.
So and she's very smellless. She has no smells to her. It's like she's got sometimes we both will have pit smells because we'll go a long time without putting on any deodorant. Even her body odor is not is not offensive to me. Even when it's ripe and rank, it's like it smells like me, frankly.
Yeah.
I think that's just like smelling my own BO. It's like, ooh, I'm strong, but I don't really dislike the smell. You know, I kind of like it. I can kind of go, yeah, that's gamey.
We're lucky, really, in that way.
Yeah, we are. We're lucky in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we are. It's not. I believe it's more than just a coincidence. That's me. Yeah, babe. Look at those lungs.
But I would suggest that your push layer is probably not actually an INTP or an ENTP. But that's not because of the hygiene thing at all. I think that the hygiene thing may just be an Eric specific. I don't think necessarily has anything to do with type.
Quadra specific, maybe?
Maybe quadra specific, but I mean SFJs don't really care.
Really?
Yeah, I've never been with an INTP, so I don't know. I've never been with another ENTP, so I have no experience from how ESFJs and ISFJs don't really care that much about, like, they're not the types to go, we need to take a shower before we have sex. Especially ESFJ. ESFJs are very demonstrative SE when it comes to sex.
Yeah.
Very demonstrative SE.
Yeah.
Like they want to be like, yeah, let's go.
Yep.
Right in the rodeo.
Throw down.
Yeah, I like things to sort of be slow and
Like
take
that
their
walk that you're
time.
talking about.
Yeah, the languid meander.
Yes, the languid meander.
Sometimes referred to as a languid saunter. Okay, well, speaking of Brandy, first of all, Brandy's name is Brandy Miller, the champagne of beers. It's not Brandy Sandy. And she was indeed the valedictorian in her graduating class from the Bresley Williams Institute for Large-Breasted Girls. So I don't know who this Brandy Sanderson is or Brandon Sanderson, but the only Brandy we're talking about these days is Brandy Miller, the champagne of beers. Actually, I do know very well who Brandon Sanderson is. I read the entire Wheel of Time series. Yeah, I know who he is. I was lying. I was joking. I was referencing my bedtime story. Did you miss it last night, David Sanderson? Did you miss my bedtime story? It was about Brandy Miller, the champagne of beers. That was her name. She's a very large-breasted girl, and she ended up being taken home by a philosophy student after getting her AA at the local junior college and being humped into submission. That was the plot of the story. My bedtime stories tend to be a little bit risque. They tend to involve, I guess you'd say, romantic impulses between people.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Maybe next time I'll be like Hollywood and I'll tell a bedtime story, the same kind of bedtime story, except this time it'll involve a transgender African-American person and a short, squat Asian person who refuses to identify with the word gender at all, neither transgender or anything. She's like me, except instead of saying race isn't real, she says gender isn't real.
You're really like spicing things up.
That men and women are exactly the same in all ways, physically and mentally. That's her position. So then I'll tell a love story between those two, and I'll have them have sexual intercourse, and then Hollywood will say, "You are inclusive, Eric. You are inclusive."
Finally,
you stop being so heteronormative. I'm sick of it. Am I heteronormative? No, I'm not. But do I default to a heterosexual norm? Yes, I do. Which means in my stories, there probably aren't going to be any gay people, but not because I have a problem with gay people or think that heterosexuality is better. It's just, it's not in my field of reference. It's not in my experience. As an SI person, my understanding of the world is shaped mostly by, or largely by, extrapolating from my experience and abstracting out from my experience. Since I've never had a homosexual relationship, it doesn't occur to me to include homosexuals in my stories.
Sistering does, though, right? Because
Well, those that women. See, I also have this notion that women can't really be homosexual. They're just enjoying each other while they're waiting for the guy to come home or something. It's like I have a very strange thing about that because I don't necessarily think like if I came home and Rachel were hanging out with her friend and she and her friend were lying in bed and feeling each other's boobs or something, I just think, well, that's just girls, they do that kind of shit. You better send her home or she's gonna end up getting the dick too. Go get her out of here. It would be like that, It wouldn't. I wouldn't feel like, oh no, she's a lesbian. I just think chicks are always rubbing each other's boobs and stuff. Like as soon as they start getting them, it's like teenage girls like, Judy, come here, feel these, feel. Are these too round? No, Judy, they're wonderful. What about my ass? Okay, can you reach up my vagina and tell me? Is that normal? That thing up there? Let me feel yours.
I had friends who did that, but I was shy, so I was like, I'm gonna keep my body parts to myself.
Would I mind if a partner slept with a girl? I mean, the thing is this, like I could imagine a context in which like let's say like Rachel's old friend came into town, she was staying or whatever, and they were drinking wine, and then Eric, I hate to tell you this, but last night I was lying there with Judy and we were watching Sex and the City and she started fingering me and I didn't stop her. I'd be like, okay, whatever. Why are you telling me this? You want to tell me about your menstrual cycle next or what? Chicks, what chicks deal with chicks is chick stuff. I don't know. It wouldn't really bother me, I don't think. I wouldn't encourage it. I certainly wouldn't say I want that to happen.
Because I really don't feel that way.
I know you don't. I'm not worried that it would ever happen with you. Okay, you seem highly heterosexual.
Yeah,
thank
you.
What I'm saying is that I'm not clear because it seems impossible to determine where the line is drawn with chicks, between chicks. Like, for example, if I go up and squeeze a girl's boobs, there's no disputing what that is. But, if a girl's feeling another girl's boobs, no, it seems fine to me. That might be perfectly okay. It might be perfectly not indicative of sexuality at all, right? So because I can't figure out, I don't know where chicks draw the line amongst themselves.
Yeah.
So to me, it just seems like
it's an individualized thing.
Yeah, unless if I had a girlfriend who started sleeping over at Judy's every other night, that would be a problem.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, okay, wait, are you a lesbian? Because I don't think that chicks touching each other is indicative of lesbianism necessarily.
No.
That's the basic thing I'm saying is that because I can't figure out. Okay, yes. But because I can't figure out exactly where the line is, that is where the line is, I guess. But because I can't figure out exactly where the line is, because I know that it wouldn't bug me that if they were looking at each other's boobs and doing that sort of thing, it makes it so it's kind of like, as long as it's not indicative of lesbianism, I don't really care what two girls do when they're by themselves with each other, because it's like, I don't want girls coming out and being like, okay, you guys need to talk about sports instead of whatever you're talking about or something. It's like, fuck you. Go do your girl shit. Go finger each other. We're talking out here. It's sort of, that's what I mean by it.
I
just have a good point.
Can I just say that I'm probably like a virgin when it comes to that stuff. I touched one girl's boobs. She had new fake ones, and I had to.
Oh, sure. You want to be curious about that.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, though. It's like, if that were to happen, she would have come home. Let's say she went to meet this friend who came into town. She came, picked her up. They went out to lunch, and she said, "Well, listen, Eric." In the car on the way home, she revealed, why I could tell she had a boob job. And I was talking to her about what it was like. And she said, "Well, do you want to feel it?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And I squeezed it. I could feel what her boob implant felt like. That wouldn't bother me at all. But
No.
In contrast, if I said to Rachel, "Well, my friend, he got a vasectomy, and he said it was quite uncomfortable. Now it feels normal." And he asked me if I wanted to feel down beneath the scrotum where the scar was. I said, "Well, sure I do. Yeah." And I reached down there and I cupped his balls, and you're really not a bad scar. That would not be the same thing at all, right? Not at all. If in fact I was like, "Yeah, I would like to feel that," that would in fact mean that I was gay. Okay, that would mean that I was gay, or at least bisexual, right? So that's the difference.
Oh my god! He repeated.
My neighbor got a vasectomy. My former brother-in-law, Johnny, because he had 3 kids of his own plus a step kid, and he just didn't want to have any more kids.
Yeah.
The first kid he had like when he was 17, and he spent the next 18 years paying child support for him.
Ooh.
And almost never seen it.
Wow.
So 18 years. One of your kids, she got you for 18 years.
That's a good Kanye line.
And on his 18th birthday, he found out it wasn't his? Oh my God. That's why you get a vasectomy. Is there male-to-male ass slapping after a debate win? No. There is no ass slapping after a debate wins. Debate also occurs, at least through the end of high school. The debaters all dress up in suits and ties and the female equivalent of that, fancy girls' clothes. I've never been able to quite articulate what the female equivalent of a suit and tie is. Parents have many times asked me, "Well, what should my kid wear if it's their first tournament or something?" And the best I can come up with is the female equivalent of a suit and tie. I have no way of saying, like, girls show up in all kinds of different stuff, but it all somehow, I guess, qualifies as that level of fancy. Whereas boys, they got one choice: suit and tie. Their choice is, what kind of tie do I want to wear? And usually,
color.
Yeah, debaters want to make either they want to be splashy, where they'll wear kind of a splashier tie. A lot of them, though, prefer to be, politician-like. Red tie. Red tie is very popular. Blue tie, but it would be a fairly bright blue tie. One straight color. Sometimes you'll get a black tie with a color shirt. That's another variation you'll see in debate tournaments. The 2 debaters who both come in with maroon shirts and black ties and black pants, like a matching pair and black jackets. There's that phenomenon with male debaters. You'll never in any other context have 2 boys say, "Let's be twinsies." But in debate tournaments, you will get 2 paired male debaters who dress in the same suit and look sometimes. I think it's silly, personally, but it doesn't impact how I vote. Okay, I'm going to pull this ball, and then I'm going to call it a string. It's been almost 3 hours already. See you later.